Hi again, everybody. You're looking good today. This is Frank Phillips in the Brazil Times newsroom, and here's what's going on. A storm system bringing strong winds and thunderstorms to the area Tuesday left more than 400 people without power. Duke Energy reports it's assessing damage in the Sealyville area, where 373 of its customers were reportedly without power. The company also reported 25 customers in the Brazil area were without power as well. And of course, last night in the evening, we received a special weather statement from the National Weather Service saying that we could expect the possibility of strong thunderstorms coming through the area, and apparently they were right. Also in the news today, the City Council is meeting at 5 o'clock in City Hall. One of the items on the agenda is they are going to be asked to allow money to be spent to finance drainage of the Forest Park area south of the band shell. And we're talking about the area where the Brazil Rotary Club normally sets up for the 4th of July celebration. There have been other groups that have approached the Parks Board and have asked to use that area as well throughout the year. And the Parks Board and the City Council will perhaps join together to finance that project. It's going to cost about $15,000 to drain that part of the park, and then the total cost of drainage for Forest Park is estimated to be about $30,000. So that's something coming up at City Council this evening. Speaking of City Council, Steve Bell's here. Hi, Councilman. Glad to see you. And Ruth Ann Jeffries, a member of the Board of Works, is here as well. Board of Works meeting this morning at 10 o'clock also. And also today, we have the opportunity to speak to Debbie Allen's business writing class at Northview High School. So I'm hoping that I can go out there and say something that's worthwhile to those students, and we'll see how that works out. But certainly newspapers have changed greatly over the years. Just the fact you're watching this on Facebook Live from a newspaper says a whole lot right there. In today's edition of the Brazil Times, the printed edition that is, that fire Sunday night, a local investigation is being conducted to determine the cause of that fire. It happened at 611 East Burn Street in Brazil. You might have seen Ivy Jacobs' Facebook Live report from the scene during the fire. Brazil City Fire Chief Jake Bennett said the fire was reported at the rental property at 9:13 p.m. Sunday. During the initial report, officials were advised there was no tenant living at the residence. Upon arrival, firefighters found flames shooting through the roof of the destroyed home, upwards to 30 feet into the night sky. And in today's edition, reorganization and appointments are to be made at the school board's first meeting of 2017. That takes place Thursday at the Central Administrative Office. Glad to see everybody here today. A lot of folks joining us, and that's wonderful. Let me see. We also have the first of two parts of really, I think it's an interesting story. One of our local artists, and of course we have so many talented people here in the Brazil area, as Robert Hostetler, the official Brazil historian and the assistant Clay County historian, has said. Well, we sat down with Robert and with Jim Rhodes, the Knightsville artist, on Saturday for a few hours, and we talked about his life and interest in art, and we also talked about the painting that is on the pages of, and I'll probably get this name wrong, but I think it's Railway and Railroad magazine. Anyway, you can tell about that in the paper today, the correct name for that magazine. At any rate, very interesting. He talks about the scene that he chose to paint, and then in part two, we will talk about his encouragement that came through providing free Christmas cards to his friends around the Brazil area, and he said that kept him encouraged to keep on painting, and that's a great thing. Well, Vicki Lovins is here. She says, we really enjoy your posts, Frank. Very informative. Have a great day. You too, Vicki, and I appreciate that you being here today also. When we open up the paper and look inside, we see a story from the Associated Press. Elkhart police are suspending the use of body cameras indefinitely because supposedly they have a high failure rate. And I misspoke. That is not necessarily coming from the Associated Press, but it was sent to us from the Elkhart Truth. You can read more about those body cameras that police have been using in today's edition. Mary Lou Sartor is here today with her Brazil buzz, and she's talking about penning letters and writing letters, and that art is still alive and well. I guess that's probably why I became a writer, because I had an aunt who was a retired English teacher, and she told my mother that she just loved getting letters from me when I was 7 or 8 years old. So I'm not sure what I wrote her about, but nevertheless, that encouragement sure helped me. Lisa Hendricks Mars is here. Good morning to you. And as we mentioned yesterday, happy news about her daughter's studio, Ovations, out in California after that terrible burglary and the loss of more than $10,000 worth of equipment. Thanks to you folks and the folks in California and elsewhere, they raised enough money to replace most, if not all, of that equipment. And Lisa sent us some pictures. It really looks great. It really looks great. So we're happy about that. In sports, Carrie Fox, our sports editor, writes, the Northview Knights couldn't quite match Class 2A number 6 Cascades' overall firepower down the stretch in Tuesday's Western Indiana Conference crossover battle. The Cadets placed 4 players in double figures scoring and pulled away in the final 3 minutes for a 64-56 win over the Knights. Have other sports for you as well in today's edition of the Brazil Times and thebraziltimes.com online. Hey, Van Buren High School had their 35th reunion, and we have a picture from that reunion on the back page of today's edition of the Brazil Times. So that's just a little bit about what's going on today, and we hope that you have an outstanding day. We're supposed to have warm temperatures today, up near 60 degrees, which is outstanding for this time of year. But it's a little slick this morning. If you have to be out and about, I found out the hard way that the roads are just a tad bit icy. So be careful when you go out. You can certainly get around town okay, but just be careful so that you don't hit some black ice and slide into somebody else. That does it for us. We hope you have an outstanding day. I'll look forward to seeing you wherever we happen to meet today. I'm Frank in the Brazil Times newsroom. We'll see you later.